Hello everyone, welcome to ScorchYourToysAtAnyMoon.com's transformation guide for Bandai's High Metal R VF-0. Today we're going to be going from Battroid mode, which is how the toy comes packaged, to Gerwalk, and ultimately we are going to end up in fighter mode. This is how Battroid mode should look. Backpack kind of lower down on the back. Everything coming together just like so. I don't have the leg armors installed, they just peg in. I do have the perfect transformation fists installed, so if you're starting with some of the fixed posed hands, you're gonna wanna switch back to the perfect transformation fists. And I've got the perfect transformation wings installed, and we're gonna begin by just opening those wings up, and then inside, we have this little pitot tube plug. Now I recommend no one ever use this thing, but if you are one of the people that are, you're gonna start transformation by taking that off and putting that aside somewhere. Then you're gonna grab your little pick piece. You're gonna come up to the top of the toy, these hinges here, and we're gonna come inside and we're gonna pull up on that piece on the inside, and we're gonna fold that completely over like so. If you're not a real stickler for perfect transformation and you are a real stickler for the line art, you are then going to grab a head laser. You're going to remove it. Now the head lasers for Battroid mode are positioned right in the center of the wheel there. You are then going to grab the head gun, that moves it to the back of the wheel, and install that on the toy. And we are gonna repeat that on the other side. Okay, now we're gonna apply a little bit of pressure on the nose cone to pop that forward. You can see there's one peg here, two tabs there, slots on the nose cone that receive that. Once you've got that forward, pull your legs forward a little bit on that hinge right there, nice metal hinge inside there. And then your toy from the side looks like this. We're going to bring our backpack down, and we're going to reach in here and we're going to pop open this trap door there. The head has an extension to it. Bring it all the way down and bring your lasers swept all the way forward, and then rotate the entire neck piece to the back of the toy. And as you lift up the nose cone now, you'll see the head wants to go straight down through there. You're going to have to angle the guns to make that work. And I'm cheating a little bit by forcing them, but you can do that a lot more gracefully than I just did. The head will come down underneath, and now we need to extend the nose cone forward. To do that, you're gonna have to get a little clearance from that heat shield, so pull up a little bit, and then slide forward like so, and then continue to bring your head up underneath. This next step is the trickiest for me in transformation, and a big part of it is how stiff these chest hinges are in moving back and forth that entire chest. So if you flip the toy over, there's two little rods that have a little C-clip connected to them that comes up, and there's a pivot point at the chest where it's all attached. That pivot point for me on my toy is very, very stiff. So what more often happens is that as I try to slide the chest back, it just releases from those hinges, and then it's not really perfect transformation at that point. I've gotta get the chest back onto the toy. So I'm gonna try to do this without having it fall off. I've got the heat shield now in that upright position. I'll bring my trap door down, and then I'm gonna line things up so that the chest is coming back onto the backpack. And what I need to do is apply pressure down as I slide back if I'm really worried about this thing not coming off. So I've got my fingers underneath. Okay, I've lost one of those things, not the end of the world. Got my fingers underneath supporting the gray part as I push back like that. And that actually worked out. So now I just have a peg on the front of the heat shield, and I'm gonna lift up and get my nose cone on top of that peg like so. And you can see nice straight line across now. And then we can just come to the bottom of the toy and lift our head lasers up for a moment so that we could bring the head down and put these little flaps on either side of it. And you can see there's pegs there that go into the housing. Let's see if we can make that work. It's getting caught up. There it goes. All right, so now that can be on either side. You can see those tabs are actually, there's slots for those, so it's a little sloppy here. Get out of there. There we go. Head fits right between them. Lasers come down like so. If you're not a perfect transformation stickler, now is a great time to get a fingernail in and slide up this piece here. And we're gonna grab our piece with the intake fan detail and go ahead and install that just by, there's a peg, little slot. I'm just gonna slide that into position and it'll look like that going forward. Now we're gonna take our legs, we're gonna bring them upward and rotate them like that as we do. You have a Gerwalk joint you are going to engage at this point. And then you have a leg extension you're going to engage as well. And then you're gonna swing your legs forward. You're gonna extend the ankle and bring the feet back so they are in Gerwalk position. And then you're going to bring the legs forward. They will tuck down behind the head. And then you can see here, there are pegs that go into slots. And if you don't have everything lined up, then the peg will not be received by that slot. But if you do, it'll peg right in and you are going to be good to go. This is how my toy looks after all the steps we've taken. I'm gonna rotate it around. I'm gonna bring that backpack back a little bit so it sits, we can go further than that. Let's go all the way back to that point there. So it sits like that. I'm gonna sweep the wings back for a moment so I can rotate my arms up. And then once my arms are up, here we'll swing them forward a little bit too. Give them a natural bend at the elbows. But then once we're in this position, the shoulder armors have this ability to come down like so. And there's also the same sort of pivot mechanism that's on the VF-1 toys, Bandai's high metal VF-1s. So we can bring those arms, you shouldn't have to unhinge them at the, or disconnect them at the white part, but we can bring them down at the metal part to get even more freedom for the arms from the wings. So now, if I bring these wings forward, you'll see the shoulders are actually very low. So then we can kind of fine tune it to get the shoulders where we want them to be. Now the wings would never come forward that far, but that's how you do that. And then we have a twist point in the knee, so we can go ahead and get that where we want it to be. And there you go, guys. We are in Gerwalk mode, and it looks like that. Okay, I actually celebrated a moment early. I forgot to get my pitot tube out of the box of parts. So you want to get that, assuming you're using it and don't care about the non-perfect transformation aspect of it. It's just going to plug right into the nose, like so. You got to straighten it out. And there you go. Now that's on there. The head also, make sure that it's recessed all the way. And you'll probably want to manipulate your gun lasers a little bit, your head lasers or head guns, whatever you want to call them, to get them straight as well. And there, a little bit better. Now you're really in Gerwalk mode. Transformation from Gerwalk mode to fighter mode begins with the fist. And what we're going to do is just pop open this trap door right here. And then we are going to bring our fist like this. So it's an inner elbow, fingers pointing forward, and then just slide down and close the fist and do the same thing on the other side. Now we need to rotate the arms into position, and this is really borrowed from the High Metal R VF-1 toy, so it should seem pretty familiar to you. We're going to first unhinge our intakes and just bring them up and away a little bit to create some room. And now you can see here are the hinges the arms are on, and they can slide. So you can bring that all the way to the back. We're gonna rotate our arm around and get it in line with that shoulder armor. And you may have to collapse your elbow at this point if you've had it extended for Battroid mode. Now you're gonna make sure it's nice and tight there. Once we're here, we can rotate it around, bring it into the center, and then you can see there is a pivot point here that lets us get it right like so. And we're gonna do the same thing with the other arm on the other side. The toy should be in a position like this. You wanna make sure you bring this all the way over and then press down on both of these arms to get them settled as low as they will go. And then we're just gonna slide that hinge that the arm is on forward, and it'll come in right behind the head. Now, these can be a little stiff. So there we go. So that's right back there. Now I don't have it all the way forward, but this is a good spot to lift your arms up a little bit now and bring back over the backpack. And then what we want to do, now this is still in the Gerwalk Battroid position. I'm going to push that all the way in, bring that back down, and then I can line up my fists to fit right into those little housings there. And there we go. That should all be nice and tight and solid. Okay, you can double check your hinge now to make sure it's all the way in the forward position. If it's not, do a little massaging to get everything where it needs to be. And then we can turn our attention to the legs, which you should probably know these. Again, very VF-1 similar. I'm gonna collapse the foot in the forward position. We're gonna bring that kneecap down. We're gonna slide that into position and then repeat on the other side. With both legs straight and ready to go, we're gonna get that intake back into position here, which just pegs right in. And then we're gonna bring back the Gerwalk joint. Now this is kind of tricky because there's a little lip right inside here that seems to hit it oftentimes if you don't have everything just perfect. So if that fights you, look at that lip right there and make sure you've got enough clearance. If you do, it'll sink in like that. We're gonna do the same thing with the other leg. As I bring the other leg into position, I wanna point out a couple things. One, there's a tab on the inside of the legs that goes into the arm. So we're gonna need to line that up. The other thing is there's a peg on the back that's going into the leg. So if I bring this all the way up right now, that'll fit into place. And then we should be able to coax both those arms into position. And that is rock solid, believe me. And in doing this, there was pegs inside the legs that are now firmly into the backpack. We can lift up our rear stabilizers here, push those back down to seat them, and there you go. We are now in fighter mode. There are a couple last minute fine tuning things that often get out of place. Sometimes this back plate gets pushed in. If that's the case, you're gonna want to untransform things a little bit. Untransform, is that a word? I don't know if it is. Just poke this through, get to the other side, or pull it up from this side, that's fine. My tab has popped out from the back of the nose cone. This is a very common issue. Lean your nose cone forward, bring that tab down, and then get it into position. And also make sure this doesn't happen. I got a little left-right action there. You want it to be seated directly in the middle to be its strongest grasp. So there we go, that's now into position there. And you're probably gonna need to center your pitot tube. That can easily come unjarred. If you've watched this whole video and been like, when is this guy gonna talk about whether or not it's a good toy? Do check out my full review. I separate transformation guides from reviews so I don't labor you with my opinions while you just want to know how to transform the toy you got. If your shoulders are out of whack, grab your little pick and come in from underneath to pull them up, and then that will make them much prettier. There you go, guys. Check out anymoon.com, subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.